Good morning, students. I am Riya Sinha, your SST teacher. Today, we will revise our third chapter of geography, that is, our changing Earth. In the previous classes, we discussed about the lithospheric plates. The lithosphere is broken into a number of plates known as the lithospheric plates. The movement of these plates causes changes on the surface of the earth, and the earth movements are divided on the basis of the forces which cause them. Then the forces which act in the interior of the earth are called endogenic forces, and the forces that acts on the exterior of the earth or on the surface of the earth are called as exogenic forces. We have discussed about these forces in earlier classes also. So, endogenic forces sometimes produce sudden movements and at the other times produce slow movements. Sudden movements like earthquakes and volcanoes cause mass destruction over the surface of the earth. In the previous class, we discussed about volcano and earthquakes also. So let's revise it. A volcano is a vent in the earth's crust through which molten material erupts suddenly. Similarly, when the lithospheric plates move, the surface of the earth vibrates. The vibrations can travel all around the earth, and these vibrations are called earthquakes. The place in the crust where the movement starts is called the focus. Again, I am repeating it, listen to me carefully. The place in the crust where the movement starts is called the focus. The place on the surface above the focus is called the epicenter. The place where the movement starts is called the focus, and the place on the surface above the focus is called the epicenter. Vibrations travel outward from the epicenter as waves. So, the greatest damage is usually closest to the epicenter, and the strength of the earthquake decreases away from the center. Some of the common earthquake prediction methods adopted locally by people include studying animal behavior. Fish in the ponds get agitated, snakes come to the surface, and so on. So, after that, we discussed about major landforms. The landscape is being continuously worn away by two processes. First process is weathering, and the second one is erosion. We had already discussed both the processes about weathering and erosion. So, weathering is the breaking up of the rocks on the earth's surface, and erosion is the wearing away of the landscape by different agents like wind, water, and ice. There is a difference. Listen to me carefully. Weathering is the breaking up of the rocks on the earth's surface. It is a process in which rocks usually break up into several pieces. Obviously, it takes a lot of time. It is not a wonder process. And the second process is erosion. Erosion is the wearing away of the landscape by different agents like water, wind, and ice. Then the eroded material is carried away or transported by water, wind, etc. Obviously, because these are the agents here which used to transport materials from one place to another and eventually deposited to another place. This process of erosion and deposition create different landforms on the surface of the earth. Okay, now we had already discussed about work of a river also. The running water in the river erodes the landscape. When the river tumbles at a steep angle over very hard rocks or down a steep valley side, it forms a waterfall. See, as shown in the picture. As the river enters the plain, it twists and turns, forming large bends known as meanders. Again, I am repeating this, listen to me carefully. As the river enters the plain, it twists and turns, forming large bends known as meanders. Large bends formed by rivers by its twists and turns known as meanders. Due to continuous erosion and deposition along the sides of the meander, the ends of the meander loop come closer and closer. And in due course of time, the meander loop cuts off from the river and forms a cut-off lake. And this cut-off lake is also called an oxbow lake. Okay, this cut-off lake is also known as an oxbow lake. At times the river overflows its banks. This leads to the flooding of the neighboring areas. As it floods, it deposits layers of fine soil and other material called sediments along its banks. This leads to the formation of a fertile floodplain. So, as the river gets flooded, it deposits layers of fine soil and other materials called sediments along its bank, and this leads to the formation of a fertile flat floodplain. Okay. The raised banks are called levees. As the river approaches the sea, the speed of the flowing water decreases and the river begins to break up into a number of streams called distributaries. When the speed of flowing water decreases, the river begins to break up. Obviously, then a number of streams formed called distributaries. The river becomes so slow that it begins to deposit its load. Each distributary forms its own mouth. Okay, first of all, meander forms, then due to continuous erosion and deposition, due course of time, meander cuts off from the river and forms a cut-off lake, which is also called an oxbow lake. Then this leads to the flooding in the neighboring areas. As it floods, it deposits layers of fine soil and other material called sediments along its banks, and this leads to the formation of a flat, fertile floodplain. Raised banks are called levees, and as the river approaches the sea, its speed decreases and the river begins to break up into number of streams called distributaries. The river becomes so slow that it begins to deposit its load. Each distributary forms its own mouth, and the collection of sediments from all the mouths forms a delta. Okay, so today we have to start our new topic, that is work of a sea. Today we will see how does a sea work and how does it create different kinds of landforms, what is its role. The erosion and deposition of the sea waves gives rise to coastal landforms. Sea waves continuously strike at the rocks. Obviously, cracks develop. Over time, they become larger and wider, Thus, hollow-like caves are formed on the rocks. They are called sea caves. Again, I am repeating this for you all. Sea waves continuously strike at the rocks, then cracks develop there. Over time, they become larger and wider, and thus hollow-like caves structure are formed, which are called as sea caves. As these cavities become bigger and bigger, only the roof of the caves remain, thus forming sea arcs. When these cavities of sea caves become bigger along with the time, then only the roof of the caves remain, and this is known as sea arcs. Further, erosion breaks the roof and only walls are left. Then the roof also eroded and only walls are left there. These wall-like features are called stacks. Go step by step. First of all, sea waves continuously strike at the rock, then cracks develop there, it becomes larger and wider, then hollow-like caves are formed on the rocks, which are called as sea caves. Then cavities become bigger and larger, and only the roof of the caves remain, forming sea arcs. Then further erosion breaks the roof and only walls are left, and these wall-like features are called stacks. The steep rocky coast rising almost vertically above sea water is called sea cliff. Again, I am repeating this for you all. The steep rocky coast rising almost vertically above the sea water is called sea cliff. The sea waves deposit sediments along the shores, forming beaches. So, in this topic, we discussed about how sea waves continuously strike at the rocks and cracks develop. Then over time they become larger and wider, thus hollow-like caves are formed on the rocks, and these are called sea caves. Then as these cavities become bigger and wider, only the roof of the caves remain, thus forming sea arcs. Then further erosion breaks the roof and only walls are left, and these wall-like features are called stacks. The steep rocky coast, which rise almost vertically above the sea water, is called sea cliff. Then the sea waves deposit sediments along the shores, which form beaches. Okay, now come to the next topic, that is work of ice. What is the role of ice in forming a landform? Glaciers are rivers of ice which too erode the landscape by bulldozing soil and stones to expose the solid rock below. Glaciers. Glaciers means river of ice, because obviously icebergs are there, melted ice cubes, not exactly the cubes, icebergs we can say it. These used to melt and float continuously, and then rivers form. Rivers will get water from these glaciers. So bulldozing soils and stones to expose the solid rock below, glaciers carve out deep hollows. As the ice melts, they get filled up with water and become beautiful lakes in the mountains. Then the material carried by the glacier, such as rocks, big and small rocks, sand and silts, all these get deposited. These deposits form glacial moraines. The deposited material carried by the glacier, such as big and small rocks, sand and silt, form glacial moraines. Okay, now come to our next topic, that is work of wind. Have you ever visited a desert, or have you ever seen it in movies or any picture or anywhere else? I hope you all have seen it somewhere. Have you heard the name of Sahara Desert or Thar Desert? Okay, see, we are talking about wind here, work of wind. So wind needs space or to travel from one place to another. In desert, there are less vegetation or scanty vegetation we used to find there. So wind find a lot of space there to travel from one place to another. An active agent of erosion and deposition in the desert is wind. So in desert, we can see rocks in the shape of mushroom, which are commonly called mushroom rocks. How can it form a rock can take a shape of a mushroom? See it. Winds erode the lower section of the rock more than the upper part. Therefore, such rocks have narrower base and wider top. Because of continuous erosion done by the wind, the lower section of the rock eroded more than the upper part. Therefore, such rocks have narrower base and wider top. When the wind blows, it lifts and transports sand from one place to another. When it stops blowing, the sand falls and gets deposited in low hill-like structures, which are called sand dunes. Sand dunes. When the wind blows, it lifts a lot of sand and transport it from one place to another, and when it stops blowing, then the sand falls and get deposited in low hill-like structure, which are called sand dunes. Okay, when the grains of sand are very fine and light, the wind can carry it over very long distances, obviously, because if it is light in weight, then it can carry it along, it can travel a long distance further. When such sand is deposited in large areas, it is called loess. Large deposit of loess is found in China. Okay, what we have discussed in this topic about mushroom rocks means a rock which takes the shape of a mushroom, known as mushroom rocks. It used to take that shape because wind erode the lower section of the rock more than the upper part. Therefore, such rocks have narrower base and wider top. And in this topic, we also discussed about sand dunes. When the wind blows, it lifts and transports sand from one place to another, and when it stops blowing, the sand falls and get deposited in low hill-like structure, which are called sand dunes. Okay, so that's all for today. Hope you all understood the covered topics well. Now there is an assignment for you all, that is your assignment number 3, in which you all have to draw the following diagrams. First diagram is of a volcano. Second is origin of an earthquake. Third is waterfall. Fourth is features made by rivers in a floodplain. Fifth is delta, and sixth is features made by sea waves. So these are 6 diagrams. You all have to draw it and submit it to me through mail or WhatsApp by 30th of May, that is Saturday. Till then, stay at home and stay safe. Thank you.